Okay, so I'm not reading the Waterfowl. I'm going to start several different books, like just not several, but like a few different books, only because I feel like I don't know, I haven't read this one yet, and I read the Waterfowl, so I want to read one that I read already and one that I haven't read. But anyway, I like to, the way I pick up, I like a book, I open up to a random page and then I read it and see if I like that page. I opened up to 109 of This Is the Mastery of Love by Don McGill. Louise, something like that. I'm on my lunch break, so I'm a little tired, but I wanted to read. So it says, the truth is that this person is dealing with his own emotional Okay, I hate when they start off. That's why I like to start the second paragraph. Okay, you can say, look at that person who is suffering so much, but you don't take it personally. This is one example, but it applies to almost everything that happens in every moment. We have little ego that takes everything personally. That makes us overreact. We don't see what is really happening because we react right away and make it part of our dream. Your reaction comes from a belief that is deep inside you. The way you react has been repeated thousands of times, and it becomes a routine. And it becomes a routine for you. You are conditioned to be a certain way, and that is the challenge. To change your normal reactions, to change your routine, to take a risk and make different choices, is if the consequence is not what you want, change it again and again until you finally get the result you want. Exactly. Yeah, I like that. So that was page 109. Now we shall see exactly the details of whatever scenario they were talking about just now. Oh, there's a poem. It says, to my parents, my children, my siblings, and the rest of my family, with whom I am bonded not only by love, but by our bloods and ancestral roots, to my spiritual family, with whom I am bonded by our decisions to create a family based on unconditional love, mutual respect, and the practice of the mastery of love. And to my human family, whose minds are fertile for the seeds of love contained in this book. May these seeds of love flourish in your life. I like that. Okay. I do like to skip the acknowledgements. I will get to them later. Introduction to Master. I do like when they have introductions, but I low-key do like to skip the instructions sometimes. But I'll read a little bit of it and then see, because I do kind of want to just skip to the first chapter of The Wounded Mind. That sounds nice. Introduction is the master, though. So, once upon a time, a master was talking to a crowd of people, and his message was so wonderful that everyone felt touched by his words of love. In the crowd, there was a man who had listened to every word the master said. This man was very humble, and he had a great heart. He was so touched by the master's words that he felt the need to invite the master to his home. When the master finished speaking, the man walked through the crowd, looked into the eyes of the master, and told him, I know you are busy and everyone wants your attention. I know you hardly have time to even listen to my words, but my heart is so open and I feel so much love for you that I have the need to invite you to my home. I want to prepare the best meal for you. I don't expect you will accept, but I just had to let you know. The master looked into the man's eyes with the most beautiful smile. He said, prepare everything. I will be there. Then the master walked away. At those words, the joy of the man's heart was strong. He could hardly wait to serve the master and express his love for him. This would be the most important day of his life. The master was going to be with him. He brought the best food and wine and found the most beautiful clothes to offer as a gift to the master. Then he ran home to prepare everything to receive the master. He cleaned his entire house, prepared the most wonderful meal, and made the table look beautiful. His heart was full of joy because the master would be there soon. The man was waiting anxiously when someone knocked at the door. Eagerly, he opened the door, but instead of the master, he found an old woman on an airplane. Maybe y'all can still hear me. She looked into his eyes and said, I am starving. Can you give me a piece of bread? The man was a little disappointed because it was not the master. He looked at the woman and said, "Please come into my home." He set her in a place he had prepared for the master. He gave her the food he had made. He gave her the food he had made for the master. But he was anxious and could hardly wait for her to finish eating. The old woman was touched by the generosity of this man. She thanked him and left. The man had barely finished preparing the table for the master again when someone knocked at the door. This time it was another stranger who had traveled across the desert. The stranger looked into the man's face and said, "I am thirsty. Can you please give me something to drink?" The man was a little disappointed again because it was not the master. He invited the stranger into his home and set him in the place he had prepared for the master. He served the wine he had intended to give the master. When the stranger left, the man again prepared everything for the master. Someone knocked at the door again. When the man opened the door, there stood a child. The child looked at the man and said, "I am freezing. Can you give me a blanket to cover my body?" The man was a little disappointed because it was not the master, but he looked into the eyes of the child and felt love in his heart. Quickly, he gathered the clothes he had intended to give the master. He had covered the child with the clothes. The child thanked him and left. The man prepared everything again for the master, and then he waited. The man prepared everything again for the master, and then he waited until it was very late. When he realized the master was not coming, he was disappointed. But right away, he forgave the master. He said to himself, "I knew I could not have expected the master to come to my humble home. Although he said he would have come, something more important must have taken him elsewhere." Can y'all hear me? I ain't gonna be able to tell me. The master did not come, but at least he told me he would. And that is enough for my heart to be happy. Slowly he put the food away, he put the wine away and went to bed. The night he dreamed the master came to his house. The man was happy to see him, but he didn't know that he was dreaming. "Master, you came. You kept your word." The master replied, "Yes, I am here, but I was here before. I was hungry, and you filled my need for food. I was thirsty, you gave me the wine. I was cold, you covered me with clothes. Whatever you do for others, you do for me." The man woke up, and his heart was filled with happiness because he understood what the master had taught him. The master loved him so much that he had sent 3 people to give him the greatest lesson. The master lives within everyone. When you give food to the one who is starving, when you give water to the one who is thirsty, when you cover the one who is cold, you give your love to the master. That was powerful. Wow, and I usually be skipping over the introductions and stuff. That was nice. I like that. So the next step, I want to stop this and see if y'all can hear me over this plane, but I feel like y'all can. I should see what time it is. So that was the introduction of The Master of Love. I loved it. Again, I look like all day. Well, not all day. I look like half a day because it's been half a day. And I'm going to check the time and see if I can finish.